Oh, okay.
All right. I call to order the governing board meeting at 5 o'clock PM. Can we all please stand for the flag salute? Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Let it be noted that all governing board members are present. A notification of audio taping, streaming, and recording for open session, though that this session is being recorded. Approval of agenda for the March 10th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Frutos.
I'll
Second. Thank you, Ms. Shed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Governing board comments. We'll start with Mr. Jensen.
Thank you. I would just like to congratulate spelling bee winner Yuan Kim for moving on beyond our district and representing. So that's congratulations to her and a well done job there. Like to welcome our guest, Paul Deans, who's coming in on item 8, but I'd like to personally welcome you to our meeting this evening. Thank you. And then congrats to the staff and students and teachers who went to the Schools to Watch awarding at the conference in Monterey. That's always a great way to, I think, expand and explore and push what we're, great things we're doing here in Point Park School District. And thank you for leading that, Julianne. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Estrada.
Just wanted to thank everyone present today. I know it's not as exciting this time around. I just wanted to also welcome Paul Dinas. Welcome to our little family. I hope you enjoy. Also just wanted to say congratulations to Buena Park Middle School and to Beatty Middle School, and thank you as well, Dr. Julian Lee and our president, Dr. Chong, for attending their Schools to Watch. I know that's a very, very big honor for both of our middle schools, and thank you to all the staff, students, and parents who made that possible. I know a lot of students can carry that as an amazing recognition of all of their hard work, especially I know Buena Park Middle School, as told by their very enthused principal, that they're almost done with their their mural that took, I believe, 3, Jay, was it 3? 3 parts, correct. Right, and I hope you're all looking forward to a nice and well-rested spring break. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ms. Shed.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to say good evening to everyone. And I'm just going to talk about the police recognition that we went to for the city. That was quite a lovely event. It was great to see all the hard work that is going into keeping our city safe, and also the collaboration we have with the school district. That was on the 19th. On the 22nd, I went to Quartermania, which is a fundraiser for the foundation. And it was well attended, and it was a lot of fun. And they made money for the grants that they give to teachers and whatnot. So that was a benefit. I also went on the 26th to Beatty Middle School, and the Anaheim Ducks were there, and they had donated a hockey rink, a cement hockey rink to the school. And the students love to play hockey there. So it was just perfect. And they had their wing mascot and all the people in the organization came to give a kickoff to the opening. And so I was really excited to see that. And I'm very proud of our middle school students recognition. I should say students. Our middle school's recognition for Schools to Watch, because as Trustee Estrada said, it takes so many people to make that work and to make it with the impact that it has in our district. So I'm just really thankful to them for making it possible. And that's my report.
Thank you. Mr. Frutos.
Yeah, I'd like to welcome everybody to today's meeting. It's a little quiet back there, so I'm not used to seeing no students, but I do love the crowd here, so thank you for being here today. Just a few things for me. I had the opportunity to visit Buena Park Middle School, got the chance to walk campus and talk to the students. I think that was my favorite part of the day. But to see what they're doing with their art department and the workshop department, what they're creating and the skill sets that they're learning, I think is phenomenal. I know Mr. B and staff, they do a great job. And it just kind of takes me back to before the holidays. I had an opportunity to break bread with them right before the holidays. So it was good to be on campus, but also interact with the teachers and staff prior to winter break and then after winter break, beginning of the year. So it's just great to be on campus, hanging out with them. Had the opportunity to also be at Beatty Middle School for the opening of the Beatty's hockey rink. The atmosphere was busting, as the middle schoolers say, so it was a lot of fun. And Ducks are a world-class organization. We really thank their generosity for what they did and provided, just not to our district, but to all the students, because they donated additional equipment to all elementary schools. So it just didn't stop at Beatty Middle School, it stopped at all of our schools. So that was very important, very grateful. Also had the opportunity to be a guest reader at Pendleton. That was also pretty fun for myself, just engaging with the students. I had an opportunity to read I Need a Hug. And that day I did need a hug, so it was kind of fitting, right? But it was just fun just to interact with the students, just to see articulating what the book was about and just picking their brains. I think it's pretty instrumental when you talk to the students and you ask them about what they're reading and they give you their answers. They're pretty genuine in their responses, can be pretty wild sometimes, but at the same time, it's pretty fun just to kind of interact with them. So thank you to Dr. Leota and staff for inviting me and being a guest. A few things to look forward to myself is the choir festival and the music concert. And then lastly, I do want to thank Ms. Nora Roque for the work that she's done here at a district in such a short time. I really do appreciate it. It doesn't go unnoticed, and everything that you've done and implemented and helped out with has seen some results. So thank you for that. And that concludes my report.
Thank you.
Jason, can I have a quick go back?
Go ahead. Mr. Jensen.
I forgot in my earlier comments to, I wanted to call out and recognize and say thank you for attending our 2 bargaining unit leadership. I really appreciate you working hand in hand with district management in coming to the agreements that we are approving tonight. And I think it's great that we were able to do that in good faith and come to a good solid agreement. So thank you for union leadership here tonight. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, good evening, everyone. I also want to echo what everyone shared. Just want to throw out Ms. Poteet that your interim report is so important. We had nothing else scheduled, but just for you. So I want to let you know it's a very special moment. It seems like a junior high or middle school showcase, but my report also want to throw out a couple of highlights. The North Orange County ROP gave me a great compliment regarding our schools, so our middle schools regarding CTE. They had an OC Pathways showcase at the OC Fairgrounds, I believe, and all the local high school districts and all come and represent. And our 2 middle schools really rocked it. They were very impressed with the ag program and just the depth and quality of what our students were doing. So, you could put a dog and pony show, but when No Crop is main focus CTE, giving us very high compliments to what our middle schools have done is a really good thing. I mean, it's a really big thing. And so I want to give a big shout out to our 2 middle schools for what they've done in the world of CTE, and of course, staff and district personnel who make it happen, because that CTE is not an easy world that just one person does. It's a whole village. So that was really cool. I also was at the Ducks hockey rink dedication, and Ducks are a very strong partner. And again, what they bring doesn't just bring hockey, they bring community, they bring care, and they bring, I think, love to what they are passionate about, that what we're showing the same. So thank you to, again, Dr. Valdez, the Beatty staff, and the students. Students really showed out with their energy, cheering for Wild Wing. And hopefully now they're going to represent when they go to the middle school competition the next week or 2, so they could showcase the strength of our street hockey program. So that'd be great to see. I was able to attend with Dr. Lee to the schools to watch, and same thing, like we do in Buena Park fashion, our two middle schools, again, were our district, I think, represented very well with just professionalism and again, passion that shows through. And I got a chance to talk with our teachers that were there. They, again, their energy and their commitment is so strong. And so I really want to give a shout out to both staffs because the Schools to Watch, again, could be something you pay for or you can really live it. And you can see that they live the passion and everything that they were recognized for. So it was really great to be up there, again, with many other local districts, but we're the best one, right? And then I just want to throw a plug for Beatty that Thursday. I believe they're doing a college and career night. I promised Counselor Jody Rodriguez that I would throw it out there. So if anybody doesn't know, please go and attend. And I know my doppelganger, Jason Chung, he always comes and never gets love. So I want to just throw out Jason Chung a little shout out and say, welcome to our board meeting. But that is my report. Dr. Lee.
Good evening, President Chung, Board of Trustees, Executive Cabinet guests, Buena Park School District staff. I want to start off by just celebrating, just going back in time a little to celebrate Kinder Kindness. I know that was a week mid-February, but for schools that participated in Kindness Week, just a huge shout out to the staff, especially our kindergarten teachers. I know through music, through art, and in various different ways, we were able to not only model kindness, but celebrate it that week. And the mission continues, right? It's not just a week. It's one of our core values. With College and Career Week, in the first week of March, we celebrated College and Career Week through just various different ways. But once again, a shout out to Beatty. There was a career day in which there were various professionals invited, and the students got to hear from people all over the industry. So what a day of inspiration and words of encouragement, as well as students who have the sparked interest in certain fields were able to get a good taste just from it wasn't just even a talk to presentation. Walking into a couple of classrooms, it was a show and tell almost. So I really appreciate those who took time to be at Beatty to celebrate that week with us that day. Once again, a shout out for this Thursday night, Beatty, for their career night as well. Anaheim Ducks, I just want to thank not only a valuable community partner, but just looking forward to what the rink will bring Beatty. It'll bring not only fun, learning about teamwork, collaboration, but good competition. For those who know me, you know that I have a competitive spirit, and I understand we have our first games coming up soon, right? In March. So I say, bring it on. It's with the local districts. Schools to Watch, I would love to recognize people by name. I feel like we took a trip to Monterey, but it was more than just a celebration of a recognition. It really served to be a team bonding experience. Just two amazing principals, Principal Jay Beckelheimer and Principal Dr. Joaquin Valdez. Amazing work, not just with bringing to life a title, but but modeling on a daily basis what it means to promote students, passion for learning, but also bringing opportunities to students. Always never resting with connection building. And so even there, they were building networking, busy networking. I want to recognize Miss Lucero, Miss Walsh, Miss Lee from Buena Park Middle School, and want to recognize Mr. Hodges, Mr. Solomon, and Ms. Rodriguez. Joined us on the trip. And once again, President Chung and I were cheerleaders in the background, and we just enjoyed every minute of it. I want to shout out Whitaker. They had a snow day, and I received pictures, and it just seemed surreal. You have this blue sky, California weather, and then you have snow. Just the look on the kids' faces said it all. It was a picture worth 1,000 words. We also had two representatives, Principal Stephanie Williamson, and we have Suzanne Huerta represent us at the California Mathematics Council, the CMC, and they presented on behalf of Buena Park School District. Another proud moment for Buena Park. And lastly, they have a winner representing Whitaker for every student succeeding. So we do have a district celebration this upcoming week, and looking forward to celebrating Whitaker again this week. So a huge shout out to our schools, and that concludes my superintendent's report.
Thank you. Introduction, I'm assuming Dr. Lee.
Yes, I would like to invite our interim Chief Personnel Officer, Nora Roque, to the podium to introduce this very special person.
Been my honor to be here in Buena Park and help during this transition period. A lot of amazing people here, and it truly is a family, and it's been my joy to be here. But we need to move to the next step for this district, and you have secured somebody pretty amazing. At this time, I'd like to ask Paul Dinas to come in. So we are excited to announce the appointment of Paul Dinas as the new Chief Personnel Officer for the Buena Park School District. With a wealth of experience in human resources and leadership, Paul is poised to drive the continued success and growth of this organization. Paul brings over 15 years of experience in the HR field, with a strong background in school district human resources and personnel management. He serves as a Director of Human Resources at Fullerton School District, where he supports both certificated and classified services. His role involves collaborating with district leadership, managing complex employment matters, and fostering employee engagement through innovative training and development programs. Paul has been instrumental in shaping policies and procedures to ensure equitable recruitment, retention, and development practices. His promotion from Director of Classified to Director of Human Resources in 2023 in Fullerton underscored his ability to lead in areas related to both classified and certificated employees. Before his time at Fullerton School District, Paul gained extensive experience as a personnel analyst at Downey Unified School District and as a selection analyst for the Cooperative Organization for the Development of Employee Selection Procedures, or CODESP in the industry. His expertise in recruitment, job classification, compensation studies, and employee training has made a significant impact on the districts and agencies he has worked with and supported. Paul holds an MBA and a BA in psychology and philosophy from Rockhurst University and is completing his thesis in a Master's of Science in Industrial Organizational Psychology from California State University, San Bernardino. His educational background complements his practical experience, allowing him to implement data-driven solutions and promote leadership development at all levels. In addition to his professional experience, Paul is an active leader in the HR community. He serves on multiple boards, including the California School Personnel Commissioners Association and the California Commissioners Association of Southern California, where he's currently the president. His commitment to HR excellence and his passion for developing others are evident through his involvement in numerous industry organizations, where he has spoken on a wide range of HR-related topics since 2010. We are confident that his leadership, dedication, and expertise will be an invaluable asset as we continue to cultivate a positive and effective workforce. So please join us in welcoming Paul Dinas as our new Chief Personnel Officer.
Well, thank you. That was quite an introduction. All right. President Chung, Board of Trustees, Dr. Lee, Ms. Aaron, Executive Cabinet, Buena Park family, I am completely humbled and honored to have this opportunity to stand in front of you. You vision things for yourself, and then when they appear, suddenly it feels surreal. So that's where I'm at, and I'm just thrilled, and I look forward to being able to do good work for you, to carry out your vision and mission, to put employees in the center of that, to inspire and empower them so they can find joy at work. We are here for half of our waking day, I always say, so it ought to be a joyful experience. Being able to help employees find that empowerment in their day-to-day is what it's all about for me and inspires me. So I look forward to doing that work for you. And I'd be remiss if I didn't give a little shout out to my family who's not here tonight. My wife Sabrina is at home with our newest, who is 11 days old, little baby Coral, and then her big sister, who's almost 3, baby Pearl, and then my mom Tina, who's in town supporting us, who's always supported me, and my father Dennis, who's going to be coming to town as well. So they're from Kansas, which is where I grew up. So I'll bring a little Kansas flair to Buena Park too. So appreciate you greatly.
You may like to add anything, Pedro? I just have to say, I kind of it's kind of bittersweet for me. I was pleasantly surprised of our new CPO, but you won't get anybody that exemplifies relationship building. And so I just want to personally put that out there. I'm sad because now my work gets harder in general, but the love is more important. And I think Mr. Dianis is going to bring an utmost level of professional care and relationship building. And I'm so thankful that you are part of our family because our family is going to love you. And I think you'll love them more. So welcome. That was a tough one. Anybody else want to add anything? And thank you, Ms. Roque, again. You've guided us through a time of transition that's super important. I know Mr. Frutos mentioned that, but thank you for your professionalism and just your heart for us too. So you always have to welcome back anytime, for free or not, just come. Whatever you like to do. I think Paul would definitely love to see you often. But thank you too. I appreciate that. Okay, that line may never end, just letting you know. Okay, you gave us that, so. All right, move on to hearing session. Audience members may request to address the board on an item on or off the agenda per board bylaw 9323. Individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the governing board on each agenda or non-agenda item. The board limits the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. The total time allowed for public comment shall be 30 minutes. Audience members wishing to address the board during the hearing session on the agenda should fill out a request to address the governing board form and turn it into the executive assistant prior to the board holding the hearing session. Do you have any? And nope, no one today. Okay. Move on to a hearing session for Bonaparte Teachers Association initial proposal for successor negotiations. Public hearing will be conducted to allow for public input regarding the Bonaparte Teachers Association BPTA initial proposal for successor negotiations between Bonaparte School District and BPTA for the 2025-2026 school year. Do we have any? Nope. Okay, moving on. Approval of minutes, approval of the February 11th, 2025 regular meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
I motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Jensen. Thank you, Ms. Estrada. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. And move on to our action discussion calendar. Item A, ratification of the contract settlement for the 2024-2025 school year with the Bonaparte Teacher Association and approval of the related AB 1200 disclosure of collective bargaining and certificated salary schedule. Does anybody have a discussion or item to discuss? I think Mr. Jensen put it well in his comment that we are glad that our groups got to work it through and come up with a settlement. I think we're very excited to move forward, and thank you again for all those who have put in the time. And if there's no discussion, anybody want to motion? Oh,
Almost.
hold on.
I forgot a question on my list. There was a column 2, 3, 4, and 5, but there was no column 1 in my original document. Did that get changed? I didn't see the final version. My apologies.
It was a salary schedule. It starts with column.
Yeah, the salary schedule, I was just wondering what happened to column 1. My page 19 under the Bonaparte teacher salary schedule. But they're all the same. They all start with column 2. I didn't.
Yes. Yeah, there used to be column 1s years ago in school districts, but we don't hire people as emergency credentials anymore. So I think it's probably a leftover in the format of the
Okay.
document.
Okay.
This is the document.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the explanation.
Sure.
Column 1 go.
Yeah.
Appreciate the information.
Without
think
any
we should- yeah.
further conversation, okay, I'll motion.
Thank you, Ms. Shedd. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. It's just a regular vote, right? Yeah, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Thank you for that. Item B, ratification of the contract settlement for the 2024-25 school year with the California School Employee Association and its Bonaparte Chapter 569 CSCA and approval of the related AB 1200 disclosure of collective bargaining and classified salary schedule. Is there any discussions or topics? I think same thing. Thank you also to the leadership that helped make this happen. Like Mr. Jensen put already in the beginning, we're very excited and got to close it There's no other topics. The motion.
Motion.
Thank you, Ms. Estrada.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Jensen. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you to both groups. That's it. Can we do that? Closed? Okay. Moving on, adoption of resolution number 24-17 to reduce or discontinue particular kinds of service, PKS, and resolution 24-18, determination of seniority among certificated employees with the same first date of paid probationary services. Tie break resolution. Have any discussions for that? Everyone good?
A
No items?
motion.
That seemed fair to me.
So motion,
A motion.
thank you, Mr. Frutos.
I'll second.
Second, Ms. Estrada, resolution, so we'll do roll call. Mr. Frutos?
Aye.
Mr. Jensen?
Aye.
Ms. Estrada?
Aye.
Ms. Shed?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Motion passes 5-0. Item D, adoption of resolution 24-19 regarding layoff or reduction and elimination in hours of classified personnel. Is there any discussion? Not? Do we have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Mr. Jensen. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Estrada. We'll do a roll call. Mr. Frutos?
Aye.
Yes, Mr. Jensen?
Aye.
Ms. Estrada?
Aye.
Ms. Shed?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Motion passes 5-0. Correction to salary schedule range placement for the position of child nutrition services supervisor. Do you have any discussion for that?
I just want to thank whoever caught it so that we can get that corrected and get it moving forward.
Thank you for whoever caught it. That's great. I agree. Do you have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Frutos. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Shed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Approval of the 2025-2026 instructional calendar. Any items to discuss? No. And do we have a motion?
I'll motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Jensen. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Estrada. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. First reading, the new classified job descriptions, Human Resources Technician 2 and Administrative Assistant. Any items to discuss for that one? No?
I do think the creation of additional job duties in these areas is a good thing, and that the expansion and giving people a step to move into as part of, their career here at Buena Park School District is a good thing. And I do appreciate the district looking out for its employees to create roles that have expanded opportunities within the district. So thank you.
Thank you for that. Do we need to approve this? This is the first reading, right? So we're moving on. Okay. Approval of the 2024-25 second interim budget report and right sizing plan. I'm assuming this is Ms. Poteet's showtime. All for you. Everyone was waiting only for you. All ears and eyes for you. And your team.
So tonight, we're going to look at our second interim financial report. As I've said before, I don't do this alone in a silo, so I have to say a big thank you to my director, Neelam Kakar, for assisting and helping get all of this data gathered and put together for us. Our budget calendar, we are at the second interim report, so this just reviews each of the reports. This is the last set of reports for this school year until we get to the unaudited actuals as we close the books. What's in the second interim report, this is the actual expenditures as of January 31st. We update our current year revenue projections since our first interim, which was as of October 31st. That report came to you in December, but the data is as of October 31st. We also look at changes in expenditure projections and that reflect our current programming. And then it includes a certification based on multi-year projection. So our revenue changes that have occurred since first interim, we had no changes in our LCFF or our local control funding formula. Our federal revenue, we've had a slight increase of $72,000, which reflects the what's called the consolidated application, which is what we use for our federal funding. As we completed that over the winter, there was a slight increase in the allocation, so that's reflected in our budget now. State revenue, we have a small increase of just $1,000 for testing. It's not an increase, my apologies, it's a reduction that we're getting $1,000 less. And then our local revenue, we have Medi-Cal has increased by 350,000. That's a reimbursement program, so we only can recognize revenue once we receive it. So we have received additional dollars this year. Our lease revenue is increasing by $16,000. That's the revenue we receive from use of our facilities. And for folks and organizations that rent out our gyms or our multipurpose rooms in our school campuses. So that's, we don't recognize that revenue until after we've received it. So we've increased, that's over what we had originally estimated. And then local grants have also increased since our last budget. So we're at $25,000 increase for local grants as well. So our total revenues for the district for the local control funding formula is 53.9 million. Our federal revenues in total are 3.3 million. Our state revenue is 14.2 million, and our other local revenues are 9.1 million. So our total revenue projection for this year is 80.7 million. So our LCFF makes up about 67% of the budget. Our federal revenues are only 4%, our state revenues 18%, and our local revenues are about 11% of our budget. When we look at expenditures, on the unrestricted side, we had a small decrease in salaries and benefits. We've had an increase for supplies and contracted services. That includes for teacher devices. So we have determined that it's that time of year to upgrade the teacher devices. And so we've included funding for that in this year's budget. On the restricted side, we have an increase in salaries and benefits of 247,000. And overall, between supplies, contracted services, and capital outlay, we have a net $1 million increase. Large portion of that is the CalShape grant, which is our HVAC project. So we got a grant that we're doing HVAC. And so the large portion of this is related to that. So when we look at our overall expenditures, our certificated salaries are 30.4 million. I'm going to stop right here. I wanted to make a statement. This budget does not include the raises that you just authorized through the tentative agreements with both agencies. I will get to a slide later that shows you that, but I just realized I didn't disclose that. I wanted to make sure you're aware that is not included in this information that I'm presenting here because it wasn't approved prior to tonight. So I will show you the effect of that at a later slide. So as I said, our certificated salaries are 30.4 million. Classified salaries are 10.9 million. Employee benefits are 21.9 million. Our supplies are 4.7 million. Services are 15.4 million. Capital outlay is 1.8 million. Our other outgo is 1.7 million. And other outgo, just to clarify, since that's kind of an odd name, when we work with our SELPA, which is our special ed local plan, or when we have services from the County Office of Education, that is accounted for in this series of codes called other outgo because they're going to another legal entity that's recognized at the state. So that's why when we have expenditures to those agencies, it's called other outgo. Otherwise, it would really be up in a contracted service, but the state identifies it on a separate line item. So that's what other outgo is. Indirect costs is what we charge between programs within our general fund and with two other programs. That's like our overhead cost for grants. And so we have 264,000 that goes out to other funds, being Child Development Fund and the Cafeteria Fund. So our total expenditures are just over 87 million. When we look at those graphically, the unrestricted side of the budget, 80% of our budget is spent on people. It's personnel costs. That's our salaries and benefits. 18% is supplies and services, and that other outgo is actually a -2, as I said, because it's going over to the restricted side or to other funds. The restricted budget has personnel costs of 60%. Supplies and services make up 34%, and other outgo is 6% of the restricted side of the budget. We take the budget, we have our total revenues, as I said, is 80.7. Our total expenditures is 86.5. So our excess expenditures over revenue is 5.8 million. And then we have on the between unrestricted and restricted, we have a contribution of 11.8 million. And that is comprised of two components. We have a required 3% transfer to the restricted maintenance program. That is a mandatory transfer to maintenance because we participate in the state bond issuances. So because we've received state funding for our facilities that has paid for, such as our modernization projects, that's money towards our Gilbert project. When you participate in that program, you are then required to set aside 3% of your expenditures annually into another account called restricted maintenance. And so that is 2.5 million. And then our special ed costs are 9.3 million. And so that is 9.3 above and beyond what we receive from the federal and state government that we must contribute over to cover special ed costs. So that's the total of our contributions from our unrestricted side of the budget to our restricted side. So when we net all of that together, we actually have on the unrestricted side, a decrease in the budget of 3.3 million, a restricted decrease of 3 million for a total decrease of 6.3 million. We had our beginning balances of 23.3 for unrestricted, 21.2 for restricted, and 44.6 total. When you add that with the net increase, in this case, decreases from this year, our ending balances are just over 20 million for unrestricted and 18.2 million for restricted, for a total fund balance of 38.2 million. So that 38.2 million is broken down into components. We have what's considered non-spendable, which is our revolving cash and stores, which are 55,000 and 25,000. Our restricted program ending balance is 18.26 million. Our committed reserves are 14.6 million. Our other assignments are 2.6 million. And then our reserve for economic uncertainties, which is your required 3% reserve, is 2.6 million. So before we go into the multi-year, we look at what components go into developing the multi-year. We look at our COLA projections for the next 2 years, enrollment for the next 2 years, projected average daily attendance or ADA, our funded ADA, and which formula we're funded off of. So we're being funded for the next 3 years. We anticipate being funded on the 3 prior year average method because that provides us the greatest ADA. Our restricted lottery is estimated at $191 per student. Our restricted lottery is estimated at $82 per student. CalSTRS employer rate isn't changing at 19.10%. The current estimate for CalPERS employer rate for next year is 27.4 and then 27.5 the following year. We'll know that final rate in April, but this is the current estimate. Social Security, Medicare, and unemployment and workers' comp are all unchanged from current year to future years. We take those factors and we build our budget. So the red is the current budget that I just described to you for second interim. The green is next year's projected budget for 25-26. Based on this data, we would have a revenue of 78.5 million, total expenditures of 86.7 million, for a deficit of 8.1. That's both combined restricted and unrestricted, and we'll get into those details. Beginning balance of 38.2 with an ending balance of 30.1. And on the 26-27, we have estimated revenue of 79.1 million, expenditures of 85.3. We're deficit spending 6.2 for a total of 30, ending balance of 23.9 million. So I want to talk a little bit about the deficit spending that's here because it says 6.2 million on the unrestricted. That's the first green column. That includes one-time expenditures of over almost 2.25 million for textbooks. That's not an ongoing expense. That's a one-time expense. So that is not part of our total deficit spending. And that's an intentional deficit. So that when we're looking at what is our long-term or ongoing deficit, that is not included in that. So we're looking closer to $4 million, not 6.2. So I'll go on to the next slide. Look at our reserves and what happens to them across the years. As I said earlier, we went through the red column, which is the current reserve. So our reserve percentage overall is 23.02. 6% of that goes towards the state cap of reserves, and 16.9% is committed reserves. In the green columns for 25-26, our reserve drops to 15.85%. And in 26-27, our ending balance reserves drops to 11.39%. So as you can see, our reserve percentage is dropping as we are spending more than we're bringing in each year. As I said, the tentative agreements that were presented tonight were not in here. However, that we are going to include them in an updated multi-year projection so you can see what that looks like. In addition to that, we've talked about our ongoing deficit spending, that we are spending more than we're bringing in revenue due to our declining enrollment. And so we have talked about the necessity to right-size the budget. At first interim, we had this conversation about understanding our fiduciary responsibility to make reductions, and that what we were able to do is approximately 2 million each year over the next 2 years for a total of 4 million reductions to the budget. So we have a plan for the first 2 million, or phase 1 of this. So phase 1 of the right sizing plan is 2.1 million. We're looking at savings from district office reorganization, savings of 984,000. We've eliminated the ongoing consumer price index increase from the budget, which is worth 229,501 per year. That's the budget where we normally would cover any increases in department budgets for departments to have based on the cost of goods going up. By eliminating this, we're going to have to live within that current allocation, and as cost of goods go up, we'll have to adjust within our budgets to offset that, as we're taking that out of the budget at this point. We anticipate reducing contracted services by 471,000. And then we have staffing changes due to declining enrollment of 208,000. These are staffing changes beyond what we had preliminary estimated in our multi-year projection. And these are simply to right size to align our staffing to what our staffing ratios are in our contracts. So once we do the right sizing plan and we do our settlement agreements with our 2 associations, this brings our reserve summary for the current year. Our reserves go down to 21.84%. In 25-26, our reserve is at 16.34%. And in 26-27, our reserve is at 13.2%. So we've improved through the right sizing plan, and we're able to still offer a settlement agreement and get a settlement with our associations. So we are recommending that the districts have a positive certification. We are able to meet our obligations in the current and next 2 fiscal years. So we are recommending a positive certification for this interim report. And then we'll quickly go over the other funds we have, because everything we've just discussed has all been for what we call the general fund. That's our main account. We also maintain a child development fund, which is where all of our state preschool program resides. That had a beginning balance of 846,000, revenues of 2.3 million, expenses of 2.1, ending with just over $1 million. Our Fund 13 Cafeteria Fund began with $6 million. They have revenue projection of 4.2. They have expenditures of 4.7, bringing their ending balance down to 5.4 million. They are in an intentional spend down plan with the state. They have a higher reserve than what the state allows, so they are in an intentional spend down plan. So we're very aware of that they are spending more than they're bringing in. Fund 14 is our deferred maintenance fund. It just has $60 in it. We only maintain that fund because at one point in time, probably 15 years ago or more, the state provided deferred maintenance funding. And so the state gave you money, and then the district could put in 0.5% and put it over into that fund. Well, that no longer exists. The state no longer provides that funding, but we've left our fund open with just a few dollars. In case they reinstate it, we're able to go back into that program. So we do have that fund, but we don't use it for anything. All of our maintenance projects are contained within our general fund. We also have Fund 21, our bond building fund, and that currently has a beginning balance of 12.8 million, revenue of 356,000, expenses of just over 7 million, then projected ending balance on June 30th of 6 million. And if we approve the bond issuance tonight, then those numbers are gonna go up again this spring. Because in April, we'll have received our next bond issuance, and that will be accounted for in that Fund 21. We have Fund 25, our Capital Facilities Fund. This is where we collect what's called developer fee revenues come into the Capital Facilities Fund. We had a beginning balance of 734,000. We brought in revenue so far 263,000. Our expenses are 101,000. We anticipate ending the year with 895,000. We have a County Schools Facilities Fund, which has 864,000 beginning balance, revenue of 18,000, expenditures of 874, and ending the year with $8,000. This fund to County School Facilities Fund is where the funding we get from the state for state facilities projects goes. So our Gilbert funding project, they gave us a small amount of money a year ago. We're anticipating getting sometime this year the balance of our grant, and then that'll go in here, and that'll be the for spending on the Gilbert project. So we anticipate receiving those funds later this year. We've put in our application as we've completed all of the steps that qualify us to receive the rest of that funding. And then Fund 40, our special revenue for capital outlay. It has a beginning balance of just shy of $8 million, has revenue of $1 million, expenditures of 1.1 million, and an ending balance of 7.9 million. That has some older capital funding that was there. And then it does receive new funding this year, each year from redevelopment agency funds. And so we do put a portion of those funds every year over into Fund 40 for facilities, capital outlay projects. And those are all of our other funds. Have any questions?
Any questions, comments? As always, thank you for your thorough and riveting explanation of what the state of our budget. I also just want to clarify, because again, I'm very slow with numbers, but as we get budgets, we kind of have two things to look at, right? One is our reserve, which is like one-time monies that are there to support in case of emergency, like a pandemic, who knows? And then you have another side where every year we have to make sure our budget is matching our revenues and expense. So like it's an ongoing ticker to make sure that we're at zero as much as possible or balanced.
Correct.
And then this other part is not to be mixed with understanding like, oh, if you have this pot of money, it's not all one pot. It's the pot for certain things to support programs, if you will, and things that are in a reserve. Whereas the ongoing money that we have this deficit right sizing is because what we're coming is not, what we're getting is not equal to what we can pay,
Correct.
right? Okay.
So right, so the revenue side, what we're receiving is not as high as what we're currently spending, and that's why we're doing that right sizing plan, so that we can align our year over year revenues and expenditures to bring them in greater alignment. There are times when you do have, as I indicated, we're doing the teacher devices that had been in the reserves. We pulled that up to the reserve so that we could spend it. Next year in 25-26, we had set aside some money for a textbook adoption. We anticipate next year doing a math adoption, and that will pull those funds. And we have that shown in the reserve that goes away because it goes up into the expenditure portion of the budget. But once it's gone, then those funds are gone and expended. Those are intentional expenditures of the reserve to, those are intentional, but you don't want to be using that all the time. You don't want to be constantly hitting your reserve all the time. That means you're not living within your means. It's like getting a paycheck every month, but you're going out and you're borrowing somewhere to pay for the rest. You're hitting your savings account every month to make your monthly bills because you're spending more than you're bringing in if you were to equate it to your own home income. And that's what we need to right size because we can't afford to do that long term.
Thank you for that clarification. Anybody else?
Well done, thank you.
Then I guess, can we get a motion to approve the budget report and right sizing plan?
No motion.
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Shed. I keep wanting to say Ms. Frutos. I don't know why.
I'm gonna
I'm off today. I'm so off. I don't know why.
I'm thinking I'm Mr. Shed.
Mr. Shed, okay. There you go. Ms. Shed, thank you, Mr. Frutos, for a second. All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Thank you again for the presentation. Move on to approval of resolution 2421, resolution of the Board of Trustee of the Buena Park School District authorizing the issuance and sale of not to exceed 30 million aggregate principal amount of bonds of the district by public sale, approving the form of continuing disclosure certificate, an official statement, and an official notice of sale for the bonds and authorizing related action. Whew, that was a lot of mouthful. Any discussion?
We do have Jason Chung from Fieldman and Roll-Up here in the audience, if you do have any questions for him tonight.
Welcome, Jason, again. Anybody have a discussion or questions?
Who's handling the sale? I missed-
Fieldman Roll-Up is handling the.
You want to come on up? Yeah. We got a very nice email from you today. Thank you.
My name is Jason Chung with Fieldman Roll-Up, and we serve as your district's municipal advisor. And in Orange County, it's pretty much the custom when you do these type of municipal bond sales to do a competitive sale as opposed to a negotiated sale. So a competitive sale, think of it kind of like eBay, where you have a product and you're offering it up to the free marketplace. And so whatever bidder wants to bid the highest price for your bonds on the day of sale will be awarded your bonds. Whereas opposed to a negotiated sale where you select an underwriter at the beginning of your transaction, you're stuck with that one underwriter and hope that they can they can provide the most competitive rates on the day of sale. Whereas on a competitive sale, which is what we're planning to do, you're opening it up to a wide investor universe and getting the absolute best pricing on that day.
And I think we have here kind of what we discussed or approved and estimates of what the monies would be put on as a
Right,
plan.
that
Yeah.
will be discussed in item M on consent agenda.
Yes, so I think that's kind of related eventually, but in terms of the resolution, do I have a motion? Or any other discussion? If
No,
not,
I'll motion.
yeah, thank you, Mr. Frutos. Do I have a second? Ms. Estrada, thank you. Roll call, Mr. Frutos?
Aye.
Mr. Jensen?
Aye.
Ms. Estrada?
Aye.
Ms. Shed?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Chung. Appreciate the explanation. Well done. eBay is always a good example to compare and drives it home. Approval of the Bonaparte School District 6th through 8th grade speech and debate students overnighter at the 2025 National Speech and Debate Tournament in Des Moines, Iowa. Again, I think our students do a great job to be represented in national. That's awesome. Any discussion or comments?
I just think it's great that we have the funding available to send them to such tournament. That just showcases not what we do here locally, but out of the state and somewhere else so other states and school districts can see the beauty and the educational and the quality of students and rigor and teaching staff we have to send our students to such competition.
And that Dr. Lee is not competitive, but we're probably gonna do a good job on sleeping.
Of course,
Okay.
absolutely.
That's a guarantee.
And how?
Okay, if no other discussion. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Ms. Shed. That second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Frutos. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Moving on to approval of resolution 2415, National Library Week. Any comments? No discussion? Again,
I do wish to acknowledge the great work the libraries do and providing not only books, but other resources to our students. And of course, honoring our librarians. It's kind of a critical job that is very underappreciated. I come from Boeing, and we actually have librarians, in case you didn't know that. And, if you want to find something, that's who you go ask. And believe me, there's a ton of information that we have that most people can't find. So it's kind of critical to have really good skilled people, and I'm glad the district is here to provide some honor for our librarians, because it's well deserved. Thank you.
nicely said. I think that covers for a lot of us to agree. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Mr. Jensen. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Estrada. Roll call, Mr. Frutos?
Aye.
Mr. Jensen?
Aye.
Ms. Estrada?
Aye.
Ms. Shed?
Yes.
I'm an aye as well. Motion passes 5-0. We have a lot of resolutions today. We have a lot of resolutions today. Awesome. Review of new and revised board policies, first reading. Based on the first reading, anybody have anything to share? or discuss?
In the CSBA language, they use the word computers. We had used the word devices. I didn't know which would be the preferred word going forward. I always consider a computer, a very specific device, whereas, I don't consider an iPad a computer or a phone, but they are. So I just didn't know if the word devices was a better word. I realized CSBA was using the word computers, but I just want to make sure we're all inclusive of, these wonderful electronic devices that we're using today, and nobody misunderstands what we're talking about.
Right, and this being our first reading, we have noted that suggestion, and we will be outlining in detail in the user agreement side of what devices we're speaking of. But we have noted that suggestion for the approval next month.
Thank you.
I agree with that one. And also, I think this is where we put in some AI discussion as well, and I think that's very good. I think AI is a very important topic to guide through instruction, and sometimes misunderstood, or if you don't harness that and guideline it, then it becomes more of a restrictive versus what the potential can be. So I thought that was very nicely added there, because I think we need to guide what our AI can do, because that's a skill set in the future right now that it's not even future, it's here. It's here now. And then we need to guide what our kids need to know how to do, as that's going to continue to be part of their future. So I know academic dishonesty is an easy one to label it with, but the creative and powerful tool it can be. But how do we harness that in education in our systems? I think is very important. So I thought that was very important. Thank you for those who put that in. Again, it's so easy to go negatively, right? I think it's important to be gatekeepers and to keep track. However, we have to also set the guidelines for what it's gonna look like or can look like. And I think that's very important in our policy to always be proactive, to think what it can do only, not don't do beyond. So I don't know.
We do have a district message that's set to go, anticipating that we have these 3 policies that are going to go out for approval next month. In no way do we want these policies to serve as a hindrance in professional development, innovation, creativity around the use of artificial intelligence. We wanted them to be safeguards. So with that note, we are sending out a district message on where the district stands in promoting AI, however, acknowledging that there's ethical and responsible practices we must adhere to.
Yeah, thank you. I think if you're not using it, it's such a powerful tool for a lot of people using it now. But I understand for our teachers too, to support them in how it could be used for evil. So how do you protect them for that as well? So,
under the student use of technology policy, we have eliminated kind of the wording that prohibits the use of social media sites, and are replacing it with safeguards to be outlined in the responsible user agreement, acknowledging that it's kind of can be used then, social media sites, as a purposeful school activity, within the construct of teaching and education, but not as a generic,
Right.
we can, kids can just go use their device for all that.
Right. And rather than focus be using social media, it's more towards digital citizenship with social media. And that's why the word prohibiting was removed, but we are outlining in the user agreement section of what that means in practice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
okay. No other discussion? Move on to our final item for this one, adoption of resolution 2416, adopting and approving the associate membership agreement joining the Education Technology Joint Powers Authority. Do we have any discussion items for that?
Yeah, there's a fee associated with the use of that. But I assume that the fee is probably less than the cost of us doing those, or we would evaluate that anytime we use this new potential, ed tech system.
The fee for this is, the savings is about up to 40%, 34% across the board. The fee is put on for under 300,000 at 4%, which the vendor then tax on all their tax.
Yeah.
deal, And then gives it back to the JPA, and over 300,000 to 3%.
Thank you.
No further discussion. Do I have a motion?
A motion.
Thank you, Mr. Frutos.
I'll
Second,
second.
thank you, Mr. Jensen. Roll call, Mr. Frutos,
Aye.
Mr. Jensen,
Aye.
Ms. Estrada,
Aye.
Ms. Shed.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Motion passes 5-0. And we'll on to the consent calendar. Unless a trustee has a question concerning a particular item and asks that it be withdrawn from the consent calendar, the items are approved at one time by the governing board. Mr. Frutos, do you have anything? to
Nothing
remove?
from me.
Thank you, Mr. Jensen.
I'd like to remove item M from, no, not M, L from the consent calendar.
I'd like to pull to discuss.
Yes,
So go
the
ahead.
major M projects.
Okay, and then Ms. Estrada?
Nothing to remove.
I don't have
Ms.
anything.
Shed, I have nothing to remove, so we'll go ahead and ask for a motion to approve A through K and M. And then we'll move on to L after. Do you have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Mr.
second.
Estrada, Ms. Estrada. Thank you, Mr. Frutos. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so motion passes 5-0 for A through K and M. And then let's go ahead and discuss L. Permission to go to bid for Measure M projects.
Yeah, so I unfortunately did not look at the meeting minutes from 2023, I believe it was May, to see what was approved for the district plan for projects. I do have some listing of items that were considered, some of which have been done, some of which have been, sorry about that, undone. And in looking at the Measure M proposition that was placed on the ballot, it did not include things like the Beatty Gym project or the field projects. It talked more about safety and the welfare and STEM. So I just wanted to make sure that the board was still on board with the projects that were listed here on our agenda. And, you know, I don't know that they're listed by priority, but they do have an item number. So I'm not saying that I'm against any of this, by the way. I'm just wanting the board to look at it and discuss and be, you know, somewhat united that these are the items we want to go forward with the first $30 million that we're spending of our money. Literally, you know, we're all paying into this along with the rest of the constituents within our districts for these amounts. So I did want to make sure that, you know, we felt that the, you know, and, you know, looking at this, I'm going to guess that this is probably, you know, the cost of these will probably be 25% higher by the time we actually get around to them. So, you know, this is going to be more than 31 million. And so I'm going to guess, about 40 million for what's here, leaving an additional 40 million for other things that haven't yet been defined on this list. And so, you know, some of the things that, you know, I don't see on this list are, you know, STEM related projects that, you know, the ballot measure talked about. You know, we have robotics and stuff that our students are working in, especially at our middle schools. Do we have a robotics garage shop and computer shop for our students to practice and learn in? You know, what other, you know, things that are, you know, of importance towards, you know, student achievement in the things that we get measured against, are we going to fund? So I just wanted to bring that out. That's why I pulled it.
I think,
I do agree, by the way, with the Beatty Gym project. I think that's important for our new middle school to have a gym for the students that is, you know, equivalent, if you will, to what we have here at the Buena Park Middle School. And so I do look forward to having that on their campus, as I'm sure they do. Unfortunately, it won't be there, but until, you know, some of our kindergartners probably and first graders get there, but I do think that, you know, that's a good thing. I didn't know if any of the other board members had thoughts on this.
I think those are good points. I think one thing that you discussed, I think everything on here is safety. So a
Yes.
gym provides safety from heat, emergency center when there's emergencies. There's a lot of aspect and equity. So we have it at our middle school. I think Beatty needs to have a center. And then concrete field work when you have potholes, ankle sprains, whatever you want to call it, concrete projects. I think cameras, emergency management system, all of this is, I think, for me, when I look at it as safety, which also translates into visibility. So I think when we get a bond, we want our community to see that we're putting money right back. I think in the past 4, 5, 6 years, I don't know if you guys prove me wrong, we've done a lot of projects for the program. So I think our staff and our district and our schools do a great job of enhancing that without even a bond money. Our robotics room at Beatty looks great. They have an area, arena. When we visit the campuses, I think, Buena Park, by the way, I think we modernized pretty modern, more compared to other districts around us. I know a few neighboring districts, Paul might agree, that some of our facilities don't even match up to Buena Park's facilities in both STEM, education center, learning, classroom, equipment, tech, I mean, all across. So I'm just speaking based on your points. I agree. And I think if we used all our bond money on only these projects, that would be one thing. But I feel the plan that was placed prior to even some of us joining, and that plan, I kind of appreciate the fact we're actually keeping to a plan that's kind of continuous, where you see and evolve as you stick to a core center, which was, okay, safety, classroom environment, all those things in place. And so I feel like our district has done a great job of, I think, identifying those. And then one thing we haven't touched often is fields, for example. It's pretty hard. So I'm not surprised that it's on here, in my opinion, that it would be a priority to support that. And it's also, again, for our community. Our community runs on the track and fields. And if they don't have that, you're running in potholes and mud and different things. So I think all those are very good points. I just want to throw out that I feel that our STEM and our programs for academics have been addressed by our staff. And I think, like, we built a music center, a room at Bennett Park Middle School. We built out a remodeled library / sent space for Beatty. Pendleton has a whole brand new front office area that is more welcoming, inviting to our community. And with all the classroom upgrades, a lot of them being done already, minus those annoying air conditioners. But beyond that, I think we have a lot of things that have gone. So I think this is a starting point that I feel is good, that stays true to a plan that was in place to address different areas. But I think that was a very good point you bring up, and having a good discussion. That's my perspective. I want to let everyone else share, but that's what I think I see.
I like the fact that we're trying to adhere to what we already pretty set our discussions to in prior meetings in 2023 and moving forward. This action plan and this measure that we have here, for example, the Beatty gym, that's just not a gymnasium. We talked about it having a classroom. We talked about being multifunctional in different ways. So if you're talking about robotics or something, they're more than welcome to go in there and store stuff or have it as a classroom out away from the original class. So the gymnasium auditorium, it's multi-purpose. There's a lot that goes on with that. I do agree with Mr. Chong that the fields need to be touched and they need to be redone. Trust me, from somebody that's had an ACL surgery from landing in a pothole, don't want any of our students for them to have go through the same thing. And that's rough. If you look at our fields here at the middle school, they haven't been touched in years. And we want them to be competitive in teamwork in sports. They can run on a track. That's not a track for them to run on. The soccer field is not a soccer field for them to play on. So in general, or even at Pendleton, that's even though they have a small little piece of grass, it's still not fit for any student to be running around and doing physical activity out there. So I do like the fact that this does talk about redoing the fields, the turfs, security as far as the entry points, the 1-point entries.
Yeah.
I think that is critical, especially with everything happening in current time right now. But I do like the fact that, like Mr. Chong said, we're working on something that we've already discussed and moved forward, because our constituents and the residents, they do want to see their tax dollars on something. Because we've already invested a lot of money in programs, as we mentioned, that And you can tell because of the academic accolades that we're going through and receiving because of that programming. So I think it is important that we do put up structures and facilities that not only can be used for education, but also the community can be a part of.
Just to piggyback also, by the way, STEM is about experiences, right? Engineering, but it's not
Absolutely.
standalone, those 4 subject matter. So if you have fields that open up the outdoor space, they can actually utilize that space for more STEM activities too. So it's, we talked about outdoor learning space. So when the fields get nicely done as well, like kids can go out there and measure catapults and like launching and different things, rockets. They can do a lot of things when the fields are more established. Yeah, but when the fields are pretty shabby, it's kind of like not, it's disheartening to want to go out there and do anything beyond the classroom itself. And I know sometimes being in the classroom all day for kids and teachers and staff, they might be like, you know what, let's go out the field and let's see what we can do out there. And I think it opens that up because sometimes it is where the space needs a larger area to add, do a landscape for STEM. So I think another thing about our district, I don't think we just categorize STEM to the science only or technology. I think it's a mixture of the experiences that you build in that environment for those subject matters. And so I think the space and those fields will provide that. But again, sorry.
No, and if I can just
Yeah.
add to that just really quick, you know, if you're talking about maintenance, you know, we're putting our maintenance personnel at a disadvantage, right? With equipment that might be breaking down often because the fields or whatever they're using, they're not up to, you know, quality for the work that they're doing. So if you really think about it, now we're adding another layer of expense to a different side of, you know, our district, right? Which is maintenance. So it has a trickle effect if those fields aren't fixed, per se. It has a trickle effect to the people working on them they can't really work on something that is fit for specific equipment that they're using to keep them up to date. Because it feels like you're just never working on, you know, keeping them maintained because they just don't look, you know, they're not up to date with the way they're looking or for our students. But I do agree with what Mr. Chong said. By having a nice open field, the outdoor learning education centers fields would work. You can do a lot more things when things are done properly and they look nice. So you're not so confined to just being in the classroom, but just being outdoors would be a benefit for them.
Anybody else? Mr. Estrada or Shad or Mr. Jensen can always add more too, of course.
Under the redo field for Beatty, I assume that includes a track.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So it'll be a track and field and at Beatty as well as the reconfiguration or rehabilitation of the one at the Buena Park Middle School.
Yes.
Thank you.
You know, can I ask a question? I remember being at Buena Park Middle School and the flooding was so bad, but this isn't in the field, this is on the cement by the classrooms. I'm trying to think, probably between like in front of the library area, but where the classrooms are. Do you know what I'm talking about, Mike?
Yeah, we have flooding going on in classrooms, in first wing, second, and low area. And so with some field work that's gonna happen, they'll sheet out to really deep sheet. So when we're doing this groundwork, we're actually removing all of the, trying to remove all the dirt and compact it and bring, there's a lot of dirt. And so that's gonna help us sheet down toward the canal area.
Oh, okay, okay, that would be great, because I was looking at the kids and feeling terrible, but you know, their socks and shoes were getting wet because they were treading water, you know, on just a rainy, it was, you know, multiple days of rain. And so that's what it was. It hadn't had any chance to subside. Okay, well, that's good to hear. Thank you. That was
No more Lake Buena.
Pardon?
Lake Buena Park is gone.
Oh. Yeah, just another unsafe. You know, we just want everything to be as safe as possible. Yeah.
And just adding on to what President Chong said, especially considering the rain that's supposed to be predicted this next week, it is really a safety hazard. And then our students, they could slip and fall, especially because of the mud. And I mean, the cement is right outside their classrooms. It's goes towards the field as well. So really is number one, the safety of our students.
Thank you for the discussion. Appreciate it. I have nothing further.
No problem. All right, well, if there's no more discussion, do I have a motion to approve item L?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Mr. Fritos. A second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mrs. Estrada. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Information correspondence, major topics 2025. I think our next meeting will have a VAPA plan and a VAPA showcase. Is that assuming some musical performances?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's our favorite. I think Mr. Frutos is going to sing and dance with them. He promised, so you don't have to if you don't want to, I'm just saying.
My least favorite skills.
And then, Dr. Lee, is there anything else you'd like to add on that one, or?
Other than combining college and career, I know we have that as an allocated presentation, but we will be showcasing college and career through our CTE pathways in September. Just wanted to note the change.
Was it originally in April?
It was, I believe, in March.
Oh, March. We moved it to September.
So we moved it,
Perfect.
combined it with September.
I think we gave a lot of shout out today in our comments, so kept this going. Yeah. Board member requests for information on future topics. Anybody like to request anything or add discussion items? Anybody know? Mr. Jensen, Mrs. Estrada, no? Ms. Jen? Okay, and we'll be going to closed session conference with Dr. Lee, Julian Lee, Superintendent of the Buena Park School District, and Nora Roque, Interim Chief Personnel Officer for Labor Relations, Buena Park, BPTA, Labor Relations, CSEA, and Labor Relations, Non-Represented Management and Confidential Contract Employees, Public Employee Discipline, Dismissal, Release, Public Employee Performance Evaluation of the Superintendent, and then conference with legal counsel with existing litigation, name of the case, Student versus Buena Park School District, Office Administrative Hearings, approval, ratification of February 3rd, 2025 final settlement agreement, and general release in Student versus Buena Park School District Special Education Division. Do I have a motion to go into closed session?
Motion. I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Frutos, second by Ms. Estrada. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
I will be going to closed session at 6:17 PM. Thank you, everybody. Do we have a motion to reconvene?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Frutos.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Jensen, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passed by 0. We are reconvening at 7:30. Reporting out of closed session. In closed session, the board took action to approve, ratify the February 3rd, 2025 final settlement agreement and general release between parents and district and student versus Buena Park School District. Special Education Due Process Case OAH 2024110631. The district has agreed to fund and provide educational services for the student, and the student's parents have agreed to release claims against the district in exchange for educational services as specified in the agreement. The vote was unanimous. For agenda item, public employee discipline dismissal release, in closed session, the board took action to issue a notice of non-reelection to the following temporary certificated employees pursuant to Education Code Section 44954, effective at the end of the 2024-2025 school year, and directed the superintendent or designee to send out appropriate legal notice. 0800002810, 0800003064, 0800003137, 0800003145, 0800003033, 0800003037, 0800003190, 0800002120, 0800003282, 0800003209, 0800003274, 0800003284, 0800003302, 0800003271, 0800003176, 0800003292, 0800003277, 0800003269, 0800002501, 0800002435, 0800003005, 0800003312, 0800003291, 0800003391. The vote was unanimous. And nothing else to report after that. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Frutos. Second, Mrs. Estrada. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 5-0, adjourned at 7:32 p.m. Thank you.